Ow. 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 I praise him in the morning, I praise him at night, I praise him in the noon, I'ma praise him with my life. Lord, 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 Lord. I praise him in the morning, I praise him at night, I praise him in the noon, I'ma praise him with my life.
Well, now we're going to travel to Egypt and visit a place called Tel El Amarna. You see there in Middle Egypt, kind of between the more important capital cities of Memphis up to the north and Thebes down to the south. Those were capitals at various points in Egypt's history, but there was a time period where the capital was moved to Middle Egypt, to this place which we call Tel El Amarna, kind of a misnomer. Amarna was the name of the tribe who lived in this area. There was no tell or mound or ruin that was named Amarna, but that name has kind of stuck to the site ever since work first started there. It was actually named Akhetaten by the Egyptians, and you see the Egyptian name listed under the Tel El Amarna name. Well, here is the pharaoh that moved the capital to this area, and he's a very famous pharaoh in Egyptian history. Akhenaten is his name that he took upon himself, but his given name was Amenhotep IV. We're going to look at a find made here at Amarna that relates to this time period and relates to what's going on back in Canaan. When the archaeologists excavated in this town of Amarna, or this site of Amarna, they discovered some clay tablets there. And actually, they had been found earlier than the time when the archaeologists began work there. The local peasants had come upon these clay tablets, and eventually they found their way into the hands of scholars. Fortunately, I'm sure many were lost, but now we have over 100 of these letters, and they come from Canaanite kings back up in the land of Canaan, where the Israelites had just settled in and were still kind of taking over the various tribal areas. And so these letters are fascinating because they give us a window on what was happening back in Canaan right around 1350 BC, just some 50 years after the Israelites had completed the conquest of the land under Joshua, but they were still struggling to get control and to drive out the Canaanites still there, and fighting with all kinds of forces in that area. So one of the interesting things that keeps cropping up in these letters that are going back to Egypt, back to Akhenaten, is that they speak about someone called the Apiru, who are taking over the land. And I would suggest this is a reference to the Israelites. One of the names of the Israelite people, of course, is Hebrews. And that word Hebrew is closely related to Apiru. Now, Apiru is really a kind of a general term. We find it not only here in the Amarna letters, but in other ancient documents. And it has the idea of kind of stateless people, wandering nomads or bandits or something of this sort. And certainly the Israelites kind of fall into this social class of kind of wandering marauders. You know, they had come in from outside and they were really taking over the whole land of Canaan. And so we'll have a look at what some of these kings are writing back to the Pharaoh. I should mention that Egypt had nominal control over the land of Canaan at this time. They maintained very tight control on what we would call the lowlands, the coastal area, the Jezreel Valley, but they had very loose control of the highlands, the hill country. That's exactly where the Israelites settled. When you read carefully through the book of Joshua and even Judges chapter 1, you see that there were certain places the Israelites could not capture, could not conquer. Those places are all the lowlands along the coast, the Jezreel Valley, and they were able instead to occupy those highlands where the Egyptians really didn't care too much what was going on up there as long as there was no really major problems.